Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us a little bit early this morning after a night on the town in Nashville. My name is Kristen Urisic, Scott of Urisic Label, and I am your education chair as well as your SEPC treasurer. We are so excited to have you here this morning. I wanted to remind you about the app surveys. Please go on to the app if you have not downloaded yet, and be sure to fill out our surveys throughout the day. None of this would be possible without our sponsors, so I want to make sure to recognize them. Our Education Session 1 sponsors are Coast Tropical, New Limeco, Sambazon, and our Education Session Refreshment Area sponsors are, and now you know, Indespri WP Produce. Let's give them a round of applause. So as I'm up here with you today, unfortunately we had a last-minute unforeseen emergency that caused our Leadership Lab leader, Laura Juarez, to be unable to attend. Unfortunately, she had to be hospitalized, and so we hope you'll join us in praying for a swift recovery for her. So we were faced with a choice. We were faced with a choice to cancel the session, or we were faced with a choice to innovate. And this conference is all about innovation, so we decided to go ahead and innovate. So we shifted this from what was originally a leadership lab to what we are now calling an innovation lab. For those of you who are familiar with the What's New stage, which will be going on the center of the show floor later today, we have 12 different speakers who are going to be speaking on a range of topics regarding innovation. So we pulled from those topics and those themes and created 10 different topics, ranging everything from robotics, seed innovation. You can see the list up there. So you'll see towards the front, we have 10 different, we have table numbers, 10 different tables, and I would like you to pick your table and go find your number. I'm gonna give everybody about 2 minutes to take a look at the list and get to your table before I explain how we're gonna go through this discussion. So for those of you who may have a little trouble reading the screen, our table 1 is robotics and automation. Table 2 is pollinators. Table 3 is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Tables 4 is packaging. 5 is shelf extension technology and food waste mitigation. 6 is seed innovation. 7 is food safety. 8 is food and nutrition insecurity. 9 is controlled environment agriculture, and 10 is sustainability and carbon footprint. They go in rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or, sorry, 5's over there. So for those of you just joining us, coming in the door, please pick your table based on the numbers up on the screen. Again, no. It's like find musical chairs, find a new one. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for that. It's great to hear the conversation flowing already. Before we get started, I did want to give a brief update before we get in this discussion group and reminder of our antitrust statement. Reminder that we won't be talking about anything like pricing, allocating territories, boycotts, so avoid any topics like that. We'll keep our antitrust statement up here for just a second. Okay, so a brief intro to what we're gonna do here. So we are focused on maximizing your time to talk in these groups, and we didn't want to give you too many questions. We want the conversation to be free-flowing. But we do have 2 guiding sessions for you guys to start. We would like to hear who you think are top innovators in this sector. Give us some feedback, who you'd like to hear speak, anybody you're working with in these areas. I did want to mention we do have a lot of our What's New speakers who are speaking on the stage later, who are experts in this area, who are at the relevant tables. So I'm sure they will be a subject matter expert to guide you. And our second question is, please talk about how you feel this innovation is improving and creating opportunity within produce. Up there, you'll see a QR code. We're going to ask each table to designate just a scribe. And if you scan that QR code, it's going to go to a quick those two questions where you can fill out and submit it. This is going to help us to build great content for you moving forward into the future. So our plan is to let this conversation flow for about 40 minutes, and then we'll do a brief report out from each table at the end. If the conversation is flowing, we are going to let you guys keep going, and we'll just ask that the jot form is filled out, one per table. Do I have any questions from the crowd on how this is going to go? Okay, everybody, well, happy discussions. Hey, everybody, I hope your conversations are going great. I'm just giving a 10-minute time check. Starting in 10 minutes, we're going to ask one representative from each table to come up to the microphone in the center and answer those two questions for your group. Also, a reminder to fill out the jot form and the QR code up there. Thank you so much, everyone. Well, thank you, everybody. We are going to get started with our report outs. As a reminder, don't forget to fill out your jot form also so we can take and gather this information and make Southern Innovations the best conference it can be for you all. So I am going to invite somebody from our table one up here to start our report out up to the microphone right there. Are you guys playing rock, paper, scissors? Like, so as a reminder, the mic's right up there in the center. Spotlights are on you. And the two questions are, give us who you think the top innovator in this field is. It's or just tell me general, yeah, and tell me what you think this this area of innovation is going to do for the produce industry. Right there, next stand.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize, folks. So we really didn't talk about companies specifically. We talked a little bit about, mostly about the industry in general. And topic kind of waffled back and forth between e-commerce on the retail side and innovation on the growing packing side. And on the packing grower side, we talked about innovation at the packing level and at the field level. And had a lot of collaboration and discussion on how the two come together and form one big picture of how technology works all the way through the supply chain. That's kind of it in general, but you know, a lot of innovation with AI, a lot of innovation, you know, with machines, harvesting, spraying, weeding, that kind of thing. On the retail side, we talked a lot about the robotic technology in the warehouse. How that is really going to be the key to a long-term e-commerce program, and then how those all fit together in one big picture. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Table 2 are pollinators.
I already forgot the questions. The first thing we talked about when it came to leaders in the industry, when it comes to pollination, there's not very many. They're all brand new. And so we have B-Flow at the table. You'll hear from them throughout the day this afternoon, and ourselves, BVT. But in the pollination space, you have those that produce bees like Culprit and BioBest, but you have also a lot of new startups on bee health. Beewise, they have robotic hives that will actually cut in new hives. You have all sorts of bee health monitoring companies. And so these are all new startups within the last 5 years or so. And then where does the produce market benefit from that is investing about more knowledge when it comes to pollination. We know a lot about bee health. We know a lot about the genetics of bees. But what we don't understand is the rate of pollination necessary for certain crops. And so folks like B-Flow are leading the way in that. And for us, it's to see collaboration and investing in those efforts to know more about pollination so we can optimize what's happening in the field.
Thank you. So I think we have 2 tables on artificial intelligence, so either one of the table 3s if you want to come up. Both, we're going to have both of you come up, but who wants to come up first is the question.
Yeah, we focused a lot on artificial intelligence. Looks like IBM pretty much leads the way nationwide in artificial intelligence. Produce really uses this to better manage water sources and really forecasting crop outputs. Just kind of helps everything work better together. That's it.
Thank you so much. Other table 3? McLaren, Sloan, I'm looking at you guys.
So we had a lot of discussion around a leader being Kroger from the robotic warehouses, so that they're having information come in from a totally separate type of retailing, being able to use that automated processing center to be able to deliver to customers. As an industry, we discussed the necessity to have good information in to reward ourselves with good information out, and how between varietals of products, the way that they're retailed or scanned, where some of the data comes in a big bucket. We used grapes, for instance. They're sold as green or red grapes, but not necessarily by variety most of the time. So the data coming out of which varieties are better suited to ourselves. The industry can help itself by educating ourselves with better data in, better data out, and then using AI to advance the future, where the machine learning accepts what we have now and analyzes it, then the AI rewards ourselves with intuitive thinking for the future. So it's a good conversation.
Thank you. Table 4, packaging. I think we have 2.
A little bit high. I think we can all agree packaging is going and undergoing a major transformation these days, and there's all kinds of great and innovative products out there. I'm a little biased, so our table is kind enough to choose ProSeal as a leading innovator in packaging technology. We do supply the equipment for the tray sealing part of it, and I guess we came up with our innovation was by just taking a clamshell, removing the top of it, replacing it with a piece of film, you reduce plastic by like 35%. So, and as we all know, all plastic is not bad plastic. So you have a recyclable piece of plastic, and then you have the film.
Thank you so
So
much.
that's it.
Table 2 for packaging.
At our table, we were talking about sustainability and different types of packaging. We talked about poly bags and being able to do post or pre-print on roll stock bags to reduce plastic waste mainly. Some of the other people at the table have tried different materials and it just didn't work for them, slowing down the packing process. But just looking to see what's going to be out there for new packaging.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Table 5, shelf extension technology. I think we have quite a few here. 4 tables in this area.
The first question was, is there a company that's leading the innovation? In our table, we really couldn't identify any companies that were leading as far as shelf life extension and reducing shrink. But what we did in question 2, what we felt was the most important things to do to reduce shrink was, number 1 is educate this post-COVID workforce. You know, in the restaurant, the end users, they're a lot younger. They're not trained on how to handle produce properly, and that's really contributing to our shrink numbers. And the second thing we identified is, you know, maintaining the cold chain better, because at some point in all of our businesses, it's getting broken, and those breaks cause shrink.
Thank you. Any other table 5s?
So we talked about shelf life extension and food waste reduction and how very important they are. There's several companies that have different technologies that can extend shelf life in different ways. We didn't identify just one main leading company. And every step of the chain along the way could benefit, including the consumer, the environment, just by reducing food waste.
Thank you.
So we also spoke about shelf extension technology and food waste mitigation. Friends over at Verdant, obviously question number one was some of the people that are leading that technology, and Verdant supplied a lot of great educational topics around that, so I would list them as one. The main thing that our conversation was kind of geared around was the educational piece from, the grower packers are educated from obviously that technology company, but how do we get the educational piece brought to the retailers or whoever else is on the other side of it? So we had a ton of topics around that, so it was a good conversation though.
Thank you so much. So we don't have any table 6s, table 7. This is our food safety tables. I think we have 4 here.
Food safety, we felt it encompassed quite a bit, from beginning when the seed is planted all the way till we eat it. And the question was who innovated at that time. We feel because of GFIC, the Global Food Institute, or Ecolab, any of those companies we feel are helping us to maintain the sanitation and the safety is what it is. And I think that's what I've got. You can tell I'm not too good at this. I do believe that education works, not just for consumer, but for our hosts, our employees, our workers. I think the more we educate ourselves on this safety topic, it's going to make a safer environment and a safer food to eat.
Thank you so much.
Hi. We had some lively conversation about FSMA 204 and what we need to do to prepare for that, what we know about it as it looks today, and what we anticipate it being in the end, and how important it is for education, just as he said. It's all about getting ourselves prepared and ready for the changes that are coming down the way. And that most of them are positive, and in the long term, it looks like create efficiencies within all of the organizations. So that's where we went.
Thank you so much. Any of our other 2 table 7s? Similar topics, yeah.
Our biggest discussions was accountability and traceability and how much it's come over leaps and bounds. I started the industry in '94, 28 years ago, and things you could do then, you definitely can't do now. And the biggest thing was how it's going to evolve, what it's going to be like in the next 20 years. It's at this level now, and it's very, very high standard in a lot of places. There's always room to grow, but what's it going to be like 20 years from now? That was the main topic.
Thank you. Our table 8, food and nutrition and security.
Good morning, guys. So we had a really passionate group of folks here at our table. It was a pretty incredible conversation, really around innovation in this space. How do you get consumers to choose more fruits and veggies? How do you get food insecure consumers to choose more fruits and veggies, even if you're giving them away? And so one of the things that Mike is doing at Blessings of Hope, which is super cool, is actually bringing chefs in food trucks to actually show consumers and giving them prepared meals that might last a little bit longer, and also to hope to change their palates so that you can kind of break some of those generational hurdles that we might have. We also had some really great conversation around, where do they live and what's the size of their fridge? You give them a gallon of milk, and how are they going to store it? How do you give them a clamshell of greens? That's amazing, but they have a refrigerator that's, the dorm room size. So really the conversation continued to go back to consumer education. And I think also it's okay to do good and do well while you're doing good. So I think we have to all remember it's okay. You can give back and also be profitable. So
Thank you so much. So we have a couple of table 9s on controlled environment agriculture.
All right, for CEA, for us, couldn't really pick a top company because they're always evolving to innovate. Every company continues to change and leapfrog the next one. And then for the next question, we talked about robotics, harvesting. A lot of all of those 10 topics were all items that we discussed that are all innovative, and all these companies continue to move forward doing. So good discussion.
Thank you.
Our table had, for controlled environment, we had representation from vertical farming as well as greenhouse and even field grown. So 80 Acres Farms, because we are a vertical farm and growing in a unique and relatively new way, was the innovative conversation, and because we control everything about the environment, that's fairly unique and new to our industry. But everybody, interestingly, shared a lot of common goals around innovation and sustainability, making sure we're doing the right things for the environment. Packaging was huge, and I think the aha was really that even though we're working towards compostable and more sustainable packaging, that municipalities are all very different on what they can do with a clamshell or a compostable or whatever it is, and so that it really will take a significant amount of government effort and just a cohesive approach to how we control packaging and make it better for our environment and everybody. And I think the other interesting thing that came up was for greenhouse and field, that there's a lot of innovation around pest and disease management, and sometimes that takes 2 to 3 years to get things under control, but that's a necessity that will always be part of this role. So thanks.
Thank you.
Table 9-3. Hi, good morning, everybody. This thing is really picking up a lot here, so I just wanted to make sure I got the good distance. So for our table, we did a lot of focus on microgreens. So some of the companies that we called out as innovators in the space here were Revel, Bowery, Gotham Greens, Bright Farms, and Pure Flavor in particular for the melon. For us in the innovation space, I love the conversation on robotics and packaging and all, but for us, what we decided is that education is the key point, whether that's from the consumer side or from the retail side, because these companies are doing a lot of really great things, and I don't think, and our table doesn't think that, we're doing a really good job of educating everyone on that. So, whether it's consumers from social media or it's the retail teams, that the vendors and the suppliers just provide some pieces of education, we feel like that's a very important part of sharing this innovation.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our group was a bit biased. Red Sun Farms, obviously, we thought was one of the key innovators. One of the big, like the other guy said, we basically touch all 10 in terms of innovation. But one of the things that's really happening in our industry is the move towards better flavor. The consumer wants better taste, better texture. We had some meetings with some groups yesterday that, that was what our conversation was all about. So moving in our industry, it's not just a tomato, it's not just a pepper, it's how good does it taste, what does the consumer want, and meeting that need.
Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, our Table 10, Sustainability and Carbon Footprint.
All right, so with sustainability and carbon footprint, we had great discussions, mainly through all 10 of these, our other nine items here of how sustainability touches these different areas of produce. And we didn't select one company in particular. We did land on controlled environment kind of as something to have further discussions on. We really felt like we as an industry can continue to challenge each other to find ways to reduce our inputs, find ways to reduce our carbon footprint, such as reducing our transportation times for produce and so forth, and really still deliver, all at the same time still delivering the freshest, best tasting produce to our consumers. So that's where we ended up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here this morning while we pivot to an innovated to something new this morning. We appreciate you being here in the lively conversation. So we are wrapping up this session. I'm going to ask you to enjoy some of the refreshments outside in the hallway while we get the room set for the next session. We also make sure you fill out the app survey for some feedback, as well as fill the jot form out if you hadn't had a chance to. Thank you, everybody.